not sure if Aaron A is going to be joining me or not. So waiting to hear. So it may just be me with the reactions to the Oscars. So the Oscars just ended. It is daylight savings time too, so my brain is a little bit on that tired train there. Uh, but I just wanted to bring the just my general reactions to the some of the winners, the telecast, the host, some of my disappointments, some of my favorite speeches, that kind of stuff. Um, and since I don't have someone to play off of here, it may be a little bit different with just me. So first off, I will just go to the hosting. Um, we do not need a host for the Oscars, is all I'm going to say. I don't think Jimmy Kimmel did a good job. I didn't really enjoy him too much. So I really, really, really think the Oscars should just do away with a host from now on. It just takes too much time, and most of the jokes don't usually land. It's very hard to find a host, I think, that can do the Oscars justice. So I think they should just do away with that. They did that one year, and to me, it was fine. And also, all of the ads they had in the show, like for movies and stuff. I mean, yes, the live action version of The Little Mermaid looks fantastic, but still, all of those ads that you have in there take time away from the speeches. So then people are cutting off the speeches to show ads, which to me is just kind of like, okay, I don't know why you want to do that. So getting to my one of my biggest complaints of the evening, I promise I will have positive stuff to say, but one of my biggest complaints of the evening was cutting off the speeches. It's so rude. Okay, people tune in to the Oscars, at least I do, and I know a lot of other people do, to watch these speeches. That's what you're there for, to see who's going to win, to see what they say, to see who they thank, to see um, if there's any big, blunders, anything like that too. But you also just want to hear the speeches because some of the speeches are amazing. And so please stop cutting people off to show commercials, especially if all the things you're going to do is cut them off to show the commercials. So, yeah. And please feel free to leave in the comments your thoughts and your reactions because I know a lot of people are probably going to disagree with some of the stuff I'm going to say, especially about the best actor winner. But so please feel free to leave your comments. But yeah, so yes, so that's my big complaint is please just this is usually a lot of these people. This is the only time they're going to have this. So give them that. They've worked really hard. This is their moment. Let them get up there and shine. I'm not saying everyone gets like 2 hours to make a speech, but give them that time and don't just, play them off or interrupt them to do a commercial or interrupt them to do some little silly shtick. That was annoying. Okay, so I want to get to the winners here and just my overall reaction to some of them here. There were some surprises, but there were a lot of things that were very expected. First of all, best supporting actor, Kiwi Kwan. This was my favorite speech of the night. This was the most sealed up category, really, going into the awards. I mean, in the acting categories. And so I was not surprised when he won, but I was so happy when he won. And his speech was so beautiful. It had me in tears. I was crying. I was so, so, so happy for him. He deserved it. He was fantastic. I love the film. It's my second favorite of the nominees for Best Picture. And his total joy is so palpable in his speeches that I don't know, it gives me secondhand joy, if that's such a thing. But he's so sweet, and I was in tears. I was just in absolute tears, and so it was just such a great way to start the night. I know it wasn't the first award. The first award was Best Animated Feature, but it was just such a great way to kind of kick off things for me. It was that emotional speech and, um, just everything he said in there and how genuine it was for great for deserve that or two, and for a great fantastic movie. And just for representation as well. But then we got to supporting actress. And everybody knows I love Jamie Lee Curtis. Okay. Halloween is my favorite horror film. Laurie Strode, my favorite final girl. I think Jamie Lee Curtis is amazing, awesome, love her. She did not deserve to win that. And I understand it's a legacy award, but you had Angela Bassett right there, who was really, really, really fantastic and is a legacy too. She deserved that award. She did. Just hands down, just she deserved that award. And the lack of respect that the Academy has anyway for Black actors and especially Black women, this just compounds it in my mind. So, um, and watching Angela Bassett's face and that, and watching how sad she looked, and also how she didn't look all that surprised was also sad to me. And if you were going to award someone from Everything Everywhere All at Once, why award Jamie Lee Curtis when Stephanie Hsu is right there and was 10,000 times better? And once again, I love Jamie Lee, okay? I do. But she didn't really do much in the movie. And she did not deserve that win. This will go down as one of my least favorite wins ever in supporting actress. Yeah, it's right up there with Laura Dern for what was that movie? Now I can't even remember the name of the movie, but anyway, it'll go down as one of those where it's like you have Angela Bassett there. So if you're going to do a legacy win, give it to her, and especially for a performance where she deserved it, where she was really good. And like I said, once again, if you are going to award Everything Everywhere All at Once, why not award Stephanie Hsu? That just would make more sense to me. But that, to me, was kind of a downer, and uh, made me sad. It really made me sad. I was not surprised, though. I want to say I really was not really that surprised, sadly, because there was a time when it did seem like Angela Bassett was going to win. But then the Screen Actors Guild Awards happened, and not only did she have the actors branch behind her, but also the fact that her speech was really well received. And that honestly can come into play with how these awards are selected. So, because people loved the speech, they wanted to see more of that. Um, and, frankly, a lot of people would rather award a white actress if it's a legacy award than a Black actress. So that was another part of it too. So that was a real bummer, real bummer. So and once again, I love her, but no, she did not deserve to win that, frankly. But once again, that gets into the big thing with the Academy Awards, and I love the Oscars. This is like my favorite night of the year. But, as far as, like, these kind of things, it builds up, builds up. I've been watching coverage all day, literally, like, since, like, 10 o'clock this morning. I am not even kidding. So that's how much I love this day. But but a lot of times, the things that win aren't always necessarily deserving of the win, and there's a lot of politics at play and a lot of, like, you know certain things. I'm not saying that a lot of the winners didn't deserve to win, because a lot of them really did, but that kind of comes into play. So once again, the legacy thing came into play here, and the fact that she gave a great speech at the Screen Actors Guild, because for a long time, Jamie Lee Curtis was like number 4 or number 5 in the order of who was likely to win. So yeah. Okay. Well, and then so I'm just going to stick with the acting categories. Just get those, just get to do those first. And excuse me once again, daylight savings time. So my brain, and I don't have someone to play off of. So I'm not always at the best when I don't have anyone else to play off of. Um, but okay. So best actor. This is where I'm going to probably piss people off. I don't care. I hate The Whale. I despise this movie. I think it's cruel. I think it plays into really harmful, bury your gays stereotypes. I think it's fat phobic. Oh, thank you, derpy entertainment. I'm glad that somebody else is not a fan of Brendan winning Best Actor because I'm like, this is what's going to get me the hate because I love Brendan Fraser. I want to say that. I love him. I think he's fantastic. He did do a good job, but the movie is so, oh, just awful. The ending, I think, is awful. I just don't like the movie at all. And for me, I was rooting for Colin Farrell. Although I knew there was not a chance in the world. Yes, he's a very good guy. I totally agree. He's a good guy, but didn't deserve that. No, just didn't. Um, Frankly, and I'm glad somebody else is watching that agrees with me because I'm like, this is the one that's probably going to get a lot of people hating on me. But you know, what can I say? I think Colin Farrell has frankly been underrated for a long time, and I think he gave two fantastic performances this year, not just in the Banshees of Inisherin, but also in After Yang. Please go watch that movie. That movie is really good, really quiet film, really kind of beautiful. The credits sequence is fantastic. You can go watch that on YouTube. It's just really cool. It's all this doing a dance competition thing. I don't want to describe it too much because I think you should just watch it. Um, but yeah, I was rooting for Colin and um and so you were rooting for Austin. See, I'm not as big a fan of I like him. Now that I've watched some interviews with him, I really like him as a person. I just wasn't as big a fan of the movie because I w- I thought the movie kind of got in the way of itself. So I really kind of was like hoping that I don't know. It just didn't work as well for me and I didn't really want another Elvis movie, to be honest. I really wanted, I really think that the pinnacle for Elvis is Bruce Campbell and Bubba Hotep. No one will ever beat that for me. So, I don't know. I'm not a Baz Luhrmann fan, so I already have that against me, so I wasn't, as into Austin Butler's performance. I do think that I should perhaps watch the movie again, though, because after listening to a lot of people talking about it and listening to interviews with him and everything, I think maybe I should give the movie another chance. I don't feel that way about The Whale, but I do think perhaps I should give the performance another chance at some point. Um, yeah, still having the voice. I don't know. Though that's the thing is that even though a lot of people are making fun of that and including that, I mean, I was kind of like, okay, the voice is still there. But the thing is that it's like he's so into the character and so into that performance that I think for some actors, it's very hard to let go of that, which is not necessarily an insult. I mean, on our podcast, we celebrate Christian effing Bale all the time, and he's known for sometimes going really, really, for all the time going really, really deep into the characters. And so I understand that for some actors, sometimes you can't let go of that character if it's so deeply ingrained in you, and you've been working on it so hard and working on it for so long, and especially if you're doing press and you have to talk about it all the time. I think there's also sometimes that expectation from some people, especially if you're not really well known, that you will just continue to perform that character, if that makes sense. So I can see why. And I did notice though that the voice as the award season went on kept changing a little bit. It wasn't as deep. Like if you watch his Golden Globe acceptance speech and then you watch him now, you don't see as much of that accent there. So yeah, but I was rooting for Colin. That's who I wanted to win. I thought Colin Farrell was incredible. I think he's an amazing actor, especially when he has to play characters that there is some introspection there as well. And I just want to say, this is totally side note. I know that wasn't really Jenny, okay, and I know they announced that, but could we have just kept that secret for a little while longer, so I could have just sat there and still loved and thought that that was Jenny on stage? I know it's a different donkey, and I know Jenny is retired and living her best life, but I kind of just loved just pretending that that was the real Jenny there on stage in one of the few bits that I really actually really liked because I love Jenny the donkey. And, if we had a best animal in a film award, I think Jenny would deserve it for sure. She was fantastic. So, and of course she had a support donkey, if you don't know, Rosie, the support donkey. So, which I loved. I love that. Um, Go watch the interviews where Colin Farrell and Jamie Lee Curtis are interviewing each other for Vanity Fair, and I love it. It's amazing, beautiful. Okay. Bassett did deserve supporting more. Oh, really? See, I was very, very happy with Everything Everywhere All at Once winning Best Picture. Even though The Banshees of Inisherin is my number one of the nominees, I was very happy with Everything Everywhere All at Once winning. And there was a time in the ceremony because when you're going into the Oscars tonight, you're like, okay, Everything Everywhere All at Once is winning so many awards, it's just going to sweep and it's going to win tons of things. And then when All Quiet on the Western Front started winning so many things, all the technical awards, all that stuff that it hadn't been winning any precursors and things, a lot of people were wondering if perhaps maybe there was going to be a sneak attack and All Quiet on the Western Front was going to win. But then came screenplay. And when it didn't win that, and then of course editing, and then of course, all that stuff. So because it's a plot of a comic book film. But, comic book films here's the thing, comic book films, though, can be fantastic movies and have a lot to say, and I actually think Everything Everywhere All at Once is actually a lot deeper than a comic book than just like surface comic book movie. Although I think when you're saying that there's a lot of artistry that can go into comic book films. And I think Everything Everywhere All at Once is just a very, very unique, beautiful film with amazing performances. And I mean, the script, all of that, just to me, it was pretty darn original. And to be able to, and then also for the editing, to be able to edit something like that to make it all cohesive and gel. And to me, it didn't seem overly long. Um, I loved that. So I was a huge, huge fan. I mean, like people who listen to my podcast and know me know The Banshees of Inisherin was my number one favorite movie, but I knew it didn't have a chance at all of winning. But I'm so sad on that note, I am so incredibly sad that the Banshees of Inisherin didn't win a single award, not even like score. That's where my last hope was. I knew it probably wouldn't win that, but that was my last hope. And then I was hoping for a surprise upset and that maybe Austin Butler and Brendan Fraser split the votes and then Colin Farrell sneaks in and wins. But yeah, so I'm happy for Everything Everywhere All at Once. Um, a lot. I'm really, really happy for that one. My biggest disappointments really are in Best Actor and Best Supporting Actress. And once again, we did a whole episode on Brendan Fraser, so that's how much I love Brendan Fraser. I just don't like that movie. But once that one makeup and hairstyling, once The Whale won that, I was pretty positive Brendan Fraser was winning. So, and if Elvis had won, I would have been positive that Austin Butler was probably going to win. So yeah. And I mean, um, I was trying to think of because some people were like kind of thinking of when Adrian Brody won, that was like the biggest shock in the world. Nobody thought Adrian Brody was going to win years ago. And so a lot of people were kind of saying, well, that could happen this year. Colin Farrell could sneak in and be like Adrian Brody and win. And so, I was putting my hopes on that. But as I've mentioned before on the podcast, if I'm rooting for something, I have this way of cursing things, and I apologize to the people I have rooted for before, and then I've cursed them because I really am sorry. I'm not trying to do that at all, but apparently, I have a tendency to do that. Uh, so fashion. Oh yeah, I didn't really mention fashion. Um, I actually really liked a lot of the dresses. There's nothing really though that stuck out to me. Oh, you know what? And this isn't fashion. Why did they have to get rid of the red carpet? That's so weird that they went and did the champagne colored carpet. Is that just me? Or I just thought that was kind of weird that they did away with the red carpet and just decided to do a champagne colored carpet. So I don't know. That's kind of odd, but maybe that's just me. But let me know what you thought of that because I didn't really particularly like that. And I was watching ABC the whole time and watching their red carpet thing and their interviews with people. And, those things are always so awkward because it's like some people look like I want to be anywhere but here. Other people look extremely excited. Hugh Grant, oh my gosh, when he was interviewed on the red carpet or the champagne colored carpet, he was so, he looked like so annoyed to be there. It was kind of, it was funny, but it was also kind of off-putting because it was like, "Okay, dude," he wouldn't even answer any of, the one interviewing him, any of her questions. He kept blowing her off, and, I understand a lot of these questions are the same old, but it's also very hard when you're interviewing somebody, speaking from experience here, it's very hard if the person you're interviewing, you clearly can tell they don't wanna be there, and luckily, that hasn't happened to me personally too much, but I'm sure as I go along, that'll probably happen, but that can be very hard because you're just trying to do your job, and if they're just completely blowing you off and, like, looking at you, like, glazed over, I don't know. I think it gets kind of annoying, so that was just kinda weird, he just looked really and when he presented with Andy McDowell, he really looked like, "I wanna be anywhere but here. Get me the hell out of here." Um, I'm like, "You're at the Oscars." I don't know. I just think people should be very excited to be there. It's an incredible thing. I don't know. Um, let's see, what else do I wanna talk about here? Sorry, I don't have my trusty sidekick here to talk me through this stuff, to play off of and to ask her about her reactions to this. Um let's see. Were there any other things I wanted? Oh, Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga's performance. So Lady Gaga wasn't supposed to perform at the Oscars because she's filming the sequel to The Joker, which I have my own thoughts on that. But so she wasn't going to perform, and then last minute decided to. And oh my gosh, that costume change from she had like, that amazing makeup, that amazing gown, and then she goes and does that kind of almost stripped down version of the Top Gun song, and all of her makeup is off. And I thought that was a really beautiful performance. I've been hearing very mixed reactions to it, but I actually really liked it. But I love Lady Gaga, so I thought that was really sweet. I liked I liked the other, best song performances for the most part. It's just sometimes those even though I love music and I love being able to see those, and I think they should all be on there, sometimes they feel kind of off, and I have never really quite been able to pinpoint why they feel off to me. It almost feels like they're in another show, if that makes any sense, and they're kinda just planted into the Oscars telecast, so I've always been very, very, very mixed on those. But I loved Lady Gaga. I mean, it doesn't beat the Star Is Born performance because, oh my gosh, I loved that one so, 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 so much. Trying to and once again, I said it earlier, but I'm gonna mention it again. The amount of times that people were cut off in the middle of their speeches, and it happens every year. Once again, that was so flippin' rude and annoying. We are watching to see people's speeches to see who wins. We don't need to cut it off for another big commercial in the middle of the Oscar ceremony. We don't need to cut it off for another shtick from Jimmy Kimmel. We don't need that. We want to see the speeches. So please stop that. I know the Oscars are always trying to look for ways to get a bigger audience. And the audience that tunes in is usually a lot of people that love the movies and a big way to do that, I know you're trying to also court like the bigger money making films like Top Gun and Avatar and all of that. And that's a good way to probably get more people to watch. But the other big thing is give the winners their due. Let them say what they want to say. Once again, I'm not saying they have to go on for like 2 hours, but no one's going to do that anyway. But let them say that because that is their moment. And also, one thing I did appreciate though, I will say, one thing I did appreciate is there seemed to be more clips this year than there were before, and I think clips are pretty essential. And especially when you have movies that maybe a lot of people haven't seen or don't even know about, like the shorts or stuff, or the smaller films, having those clips and showing them and giving people a chance to see, especially when you're doing the clips, also when you're doing the text and the quote unquote below the line awards, those things too. So giving those the respect and showing those clips, I think is very appreciated, at least by me. So I think that is a way you can draw more people in. And if you're going to have a host, I just don't think you need a host. You just don't need a host, in my opinion. I don't think you need a host for the Oscars. I think it just kind of takes away from everything in a way. Um, and then I did once again appreciate that they didn't do what they did last year, which was when they didn't televise all of the awards, all of the categories, and they took away some of those. I'm really glad that they didn't continue that because my worry was, well, first of all, I thought it was rude last year. It was awful to do that because all of those categories deserve the same amount of respect as the bigger categories, the tech categories do. Some of those speeches are incredible. The smaller, like the best short short the best documentary, the best documentary short film, the best, all of those little like littler awards with people that may not be as famous. Some of those speeches are absolutely incredible, and plus it gets more eyes on smaller things that need more of that attention, in my opinion. So I'm glad those were back because I was really worried. There was talk not too long ago that they were going to not even televise like the screenplay awards. Which screenwriters already get shafted unless they're in other parts of the film making process, like unless they're the producer or the director acting in it or something. Sometimes the screenwriter can get shafted, of course. So that would have been awful. So I don't think that'll happen. I think the reaction to them bringing all of them back means that they probably won't take it away again. Um, and then with the best picture and having it be 10 this year, which they instituted the 10 nominee thing, like maybe up to 10, especially after The Dark Knight was really what instituted that because a lot of people thought that should have been nominated for best picture. And then this year having exactly 10, which really hasn't happened much since that happened because of a lot of the voting. I do like that, and I think that should continue to happen. But once again, I'm going to put this out there, and you can see, my lovely horror poster by Neil Fraser Graphics with Michael, Jason, and Freddie. I love horror films, and there were a lot of great horror films in 2022, and horror deserves a lot more respect. Horror takes a lot of chances. The closest we got to a horror movie, and I don't know if I'd even call it a horror movie, but I know some people have, would be Triangle of Sadness, which I actually really do love Triangle of Sadness, but that's not completely a horror film to me. But there were so many great ones, like for me, Bones and All was a great film. Barbarian, so many other, I mean, even The Black Phone, so many amazing horror films from 2022 that had a lot going on and were written beautifully, performed beautifully, and just horror deserves a lot more love. And, hey, Academy, if you want to try and get more viewers, horror makes a ton of money. Usually, I mean, Bones and all didn't, but makes a ton of money. So I think that would help draw in people too. So those are my little tired thoughts from the Oscars. Overall, I would give this telecast out of 10 a 6 out of 10. Some of the shtick was a little bit annoying. I didn't really like Jimmy Kimmel as a host. I was really frustrated with cutting off the winner speeches. Wasn't happy with some of the category wins. Oh, totally, completely forgot to give a big, huge shout out because there were, there were some historic wins, of course. I loved Michelle Yeoh. Michelle Yeoh winning was absolutely amazing. Sorry, I can't believe I didn't mention that before I got caught up with the other ones, but Michelle Yeoh winning was absolutely amazing. Love her, love her, love her. Loved her speech. I love seeing a woman above the age of 40 getting some kind of attention and recognition. That's absolutely incredible. And of course, it is also a historic win as well. So I was very, very, very happy about that one. So I wanted to make sure to mention that. Sorry, completely, totally spaced that as well. And then I also just really want to give a huge a shout out to Sarah Polley, only because I do have some issues with women talking, but I thought it was a good screenplay, but also just, the lack of females in a lot of the, behind the scenes stuff and not just the acting awards kind of makes me sad. Of course, I mean, we didn't have a single female director nominated. So, do better in that. And two, please, please, please. That is another one. And then I also just want to give a big shout out to Ruth Carter, who also made history as the first Black woman to win 2 Oscars. So congratulations to you for Black Panther. And so that made me very happy. I loved her acceptance speech too. So wanted to give big shout outs to them as well. So to those awards as well. And overall, I mean, 6 out of 10. It wasn't the worst. It wasn't the best. It was kind of middle ground. Yeah. And yeah. So anyway, thanks for people who did watch, tuned in. Thank you for the comments, for the feedback. And so here's to next year. Who knows what's going to happen next year. But we will be back next year as far as with the Oscars thing. But, stay tuned. Oh, and if you want to hear me really talk about how much I absolutely love the Banshees of Inisherin and talked about it for 2 hours with Carla, because it was part of it's a patron pick episode for our Patreons, for our patron page. So if you want to hear me really, really go deep, we go deep into the movie. We explore a lot of the themes, the allegory about war, male friendships, everything like that. So if you want to hear me go really, really, really deep into that, and Carla too, it's a really, really great episode. Go become a patron for as little as $3 a month. Hey, there's other tiers where you get other stuff as well, but I'm putting that link in the show notes. And we also did a fantastic episode. It wasn't nominated, but we did a fantastic episode covering the menu as well. And we also did an episode covering Cocaine Bear recently. And I love Cocaine Bear. So, you need that mindless entertainment too. So I love that as well. And then on our regular podcast, of course, we did our Oscars episode, me and Aaron A, talking about our predictions, which I should have written them down to see how well we did and which one of us got the most right. Not, but go listen to that and then you can laugh. I think I got all of the acting wins right. Yep. I even predicted Jamie Lee Curtis. So I did get all of those right. And I got best picture and I got best editor and I got best director and best screenplay. I think I got those. I know I got those right. I believe I think I guessed Ruth Carter too. I can't remember. But anyway, go listen to that as well. And yes. So thank you. We are going to have a very light week on the podcast. So, not this week because we're releasing our racism in sci-fi and fantasy episode this Friday. So that is not a light episode. Our Wednesday pop culture and fandom news episode is pretty light and fun. But next week, we are going to be releasing a fun episode talking about our favorite celebrity encounters. So that should be blessed. So thanks for watching, and thanks for watching if you watch later. Bye. Happy end of the Oscars.